let us go straight to the methods then. Okay, so the first one I'm going to talk about is the calendar reading method. How does this work? What is this about? So this method works based on the fact that ovulation occurs at the midpoint of your cycle. But remember, I have given you some statistics to tell you that not everyone has their ovulation occurring at the midpoint of their cycle, right? I told you there are some people whose own occurs very close to the cycle, not necessarily at the midpoint. Okay, so that should straightforwardly tell you that this cycle won't work for everybody, especially if your ovulation doesn't occur at the midpoint of your cycle. Okay, so just in case your ovulation occurs at the midpoint of your cycle, then this method works for you. So let me tell you how it works then. How does this work? So you calculate, you first of all you take your last 6 cycles. Okay, so let's say you are yet to menstruate um in March. We are in March. Okay, so you are yet to menstruate in March, for example. Okay, so your previous cycle in February, previous cycle in January, a previous cycle in December, a previous cycle in November, a previous cycle in October, okay, a previous cycle in September. So you take the cycles, okay, and find out about the value. Your last 6 cycles, was it 26 days, was it 28 days, was it 27 days? You know, if you've observed, realize that the days are not constant, the cycle length isn't constant. Sometimes it could be 26, 27, 28, depending on your body, okay, your physiology. It varies. If yours is constant, fine, but majority of people do not have theirs being constant. So out of these 6 cycles, you pick the longest cycle, you pick the shortest cycle, and then you do a few calculations. What is this calculation? Let's go. So from the shortest cycle, so let me say your shortest cycle is 26, and then your longest cycle is 28. So you subtract 18 from your shortest cycle, and then you subtract 11 from your longest cycle. Okay, so 26 minus 18 is 8, and then 28 minus 11 is 17, right? So this means for an individual whose longest cycle is 28 days and whose shortest cycle is 26 days, among the 6 cycles that you have selected, you should avoid sex from day 8 to day 17 of your menstrual cycle. Okay, if you still must have sex during this period, then you would have to use another method of contraception, a better method of contraception, or other methods of contraception. Let us go to the next method, which is the basal body temperature method. This one involves the use of a thermometer. Okay, so if you don't have a thermometer, this may become a problem. All right, so how does this work? This works based on the fact that progesterone is released after your ovulation. Okay, and with the release of progesterone, your body temperature increases about 0.3 degrees Celsius. Okay, so if you have a thermometer, and there is always a normal range within which your body temperature is, if you see an increase, if you notice an increase in your body temperature above what it has always been, it could mean that you have ovulated. So this measures fertility retrospectively. Progesterone is released after you have ovulated. So as at the time you have noticed an increase in the body temperature, you have already ovulated. So it means it is safe to have sex during this period. The advantage of this is you may be having a malaria, or you may be having a condition that has actually resulted in your body temperature increasing. You may mistake that increase in body temperature for you having ovulated in the past days, and you may have sex in that period. Meanwhile, for all you know, you're probably in your fertile period. Okay, so that is one disadvantage of this method. The standard day method, actually, for women whose cycle is between 26 to 32 days. Okay, let me say 26 days. If your cycle falls to 26 days, 27 days, 28 days, 29 days, 30 days, 31, 32 days. If your cycle falls within this period, then this is simple. It means you have to avoid unprotected sex from day 8 to day 19. So from day 8 on your calendar to day 19 on your calendar, you should avoid sex during this period, but you can have sex on any other day. This method, if used correctly, is very, very, very effective, because less than 5 women out of 100 women in a year, okay, get pregnant, even though they used this method of contraception. But if not used correctly, let me say you not really follow it well, then about 12 women out of 100, okay, get pregnant if they should use this method. The next method is the ovulation method. Okay, so how does this also work? So this ovulation method works based on your cervical secretions. Remember earlier on I explained to you that for you to be able to know you are ovulating, it includes you observing your cervical secretions or using your body temperature. So how do you use it then? Here you closely monitor your cervical secretions. You intentionally observe your cervical secretions, and then you avoid sex during the time that the secretions are favorable for the sperm, as in the thin cervical secretions. Okay, at this stage, when you have sex, when you have unprotected sex during this time, it's easy. The secretions make it smooth and easy for the sperm to swim to the egg. So that way, if you have sex during this time, your chance of getting pregnant is high. But then you need to then have sex during the time that the secretion is thickened, because the secretion is thickened because of the release of progesterone. That's actually thickened the secretion, and so the thickened secretion makes it difficult for the sperms to swim to the egg. You don't have sex during the time of thin cervical secretions, but you have sex during the time of thickened cervical secretions. So this also means it demands you to actually know the texture of these secretions and know when it is thin and when it is thick. Okay, so when you use it correctly, the likelihood of you getting pregnant is low, because when you pick 100 women and you ask them to use this method, and this method is used correctly, just 3 out of 100 women get pregnant. But then when you do not really do it well and you do it anyhow that you want it, not really observing the secretions, the likelihood of you getting pregnant is higher than you doing it correctly. So it's like when you pick 100 women in a year, you ask them to use this method in a year, 23 women out of the 100 women end up getting pregnant, okay, if they do not do it correctly. That is how effective this method is. So the 2-day method involves you not having sexual intercourse during all days of secretions. Okay, let me say you notice secretions from day 8, day 9, day 10, day 11, day 12, and then day 13 you do not notice secretions. Okay, day 14 you do not notice secretions. It means it is safe to have sex on day 14, because day 14 is the day after the first day without you seeing secretions. The first day without you seeing secretions is day 13. So it's like the first day you didn't see secretions is day 13. So then don't have sex on this day too. Have sex on day 14 rather. I hope you get it. Alright. When it comes to the effectiveness of the 2-day method, when used correctly, okay, when used correctly, 4 women out of 100 women get pregnant in a year of using the method as their method of contraception. Okay, but when not used correctly, it happens that about 14 women out of 100 women get pregnant in a year of using this method of contraception. So you may ask yourself how different this method is from the ovulation method I explained. How different is the 2-day method from the ovulation method? The 2-day method is different in the sense that one we are not looking at the quality of the secretions. As far as we are seeing secretions at the vulva, we are not having sex. Okay, so we are not having sex. But on using the ovulation method, you are telling yourself that you are going to have sex when the secretion is thickened. Okay, so that is the difference. So it's like on ovulation one, you are checking the quality, the characteristics of the secretion, but in the 2-day method, we do not care about the characteristics of the secretion. All we know is, as far as we are seeing secretions, we are not having sex during this period, and then we won't have sex on the first day of not seeing secretions too, but we'll have sex after this day. I hope you get it. Alright, so the final method is the symptothermal method. This method combines symptoms and then your body temperature. Okay, so which symptoms am I talking about? The symptoms of cervical secretions, okay, and then your body temperature. So it combines both methods. So it's like you are checking the cervical secretions, the characteristics of the cervical secretions, to tell you when you are fertile, so you avoid sex during that time, and then you have sex when you are not fertile. And then you also use your body temperature. You check your body temperature with a thermometer to find out if your body temperature has gone up by 0.3 degrees Celsius, so to say that, oh, your progesterone has been released by then, it means ovulation is past, and so it is safe to have sex. So it's like you combine both, and then you have sex on the days that you are not fertile. I hope you've understood all I've said. If you don't understand anything or you have any question, kindly put it in the comment section and I'll answer your questions accordingly. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time. I will see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share the benefits of other ladies as well. Until next time, bye.